So in today's guitar lesson on Dunsy's Guitar World, we're going all the way back to 1980 to a heavy metal classic, a huge album for me, one of my favourite albums. The artists are Scorpions, the album is Animal Magnetism, and the song is Hold Me Tight. So here's what I'm going to be showing you in the lesson. Now the expectation level here is, this is simply how I hear a song and how I would play it. I'm not in any way, shape or form claiming that this is how it's played on the original album. It's simply my interpretation of a song that I love and a song that I thought would be quite good to teach to people out there who maybe want to learn some of the easier songs in the heavy metal catalogue of Scorpions. Now at the end of the video I have included my interpretation of the solo and how I would play it. I don't normally do that in lessons, but I thought it'd be okay in this one. I don't know if that's advisable or not. So if you get to the end of the lesson and you found this useful, you found it helpful, please do hit the thumbs up, because that does help the channel out. As ever folks, it's a privilege and a pleasure bringing you content on Dunsy's Guitar World. Cheers for now. So the main riff of the song is an A octave power chord, that's what I call it. You're hitting the open A string, 7th fret of the D string, and the 9th fret of the G string. So you hit that twice. Very staccato, we're just doing it twice. Next chord we go over to is the 6th fret of the B string and the 5th fret of the G string. And then we change that quickly to the 5th fret of the B and G. So it's like this. So it's 2 of the A. So I guess the count is really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll change the camera view so you can see my picking hand. So an important thing here is, once you've played those first 2 A chords, is you bring your hand back down to dampen the strings before you go on to the. And that's the main riff that's in the intro and through the verses. Now there is a lead guitar that comes in and does a couple of different things. It does a couple of stabs on an A note on the 5th fret. I'll get my camera focused on my playing hand here. On the 5th fret of the E string over to the 7th fret of the D string. So it's just those 2 notes, just an A, or certainly that's how I hear it. 5 of the bottom string, bottom E, and 7 of the D, and you're kind of toggling or bouncing between those. So it's kind of difficult to play them at the same time, but it goes a bit like this. But that's how, if you're one guitar player, that's what I did in my cover. I did both of those parts at the same time. Now, to the harmony that goes over the top of this, it's like 2-note chords. This is how I hear it anyway. I'll get my camera zoomed in a little bit here. So the first one I hear it as the 14th fret of the G and the 13th fret of the B down to 12 of the... I think this whole thing is played on the G and B strings, so it's 14 of the G, 13 of the B, down to 12 of the B and G. Just those two chords. Down to 10 of the B and G. And then the next one is 9 of the G, 8 of the B, and we go between those. So all together. Now I think the next part, it just stops on that 10th fret of the G and B and does a bit of vibrato. Then I can hear something that goes a bit like this. I don't mean it's funky, but it's, you're kind of dampening the strings but also hitting the chord as well. So in context, I think it goes like this. Second time, starts the same. Now this time when it goes to the 10 of the G and B, slides up to 12. Again, a bit of vibrato, and then back to the 10 to do the... or something like that. So what I'll do is, I'll play that whole thing slowly. So the second time, rather than staying on 10 of the G and B, slides up to 12, and then when we do the kind of dampened string part, it goes back to 10. So I'll do it once more. So those two parts, the main rhythm part, those are going on at the same time. This is like a harmony over that part. And then both guitars, I think for the verses, go back to that main riff. Now the chorus is just a series of power chords. It's A to a D power chord, 5th fret of the A string, 7th fret of the D string, to an F power chord, 1st fret of the bottom E, 3rd fret of the A, play that twice, back to the A. So that's what one guitar is playing, it's just playing that very sort of simple power chord. Now on the last F, we do a build up and then stop. And that's it. So I'll just play through that. That's just like the main guitar, I guess, and the chorus, just a simple series of power chords. Now the other guitar that I can hear, it sounds like they're playing the same chords, but again there's a bit of this, you're letting the tension and you're not pushing a note down and doing this. And although it's the same chords, it does sound like the other guitar is going from the A but then it sounds like it could be going up to the 10th fret of the B and G strings and doing like that. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's what I did in my cover version anyway. So it's to the F, and then when we're on the A we do the, again we're not pushing any notes down, we're just holding the string. I think that's thunder outside. It's supposed to get thunderstorms today. And then into the next verse, back to the. Now again, at the beginning of that verse, there's those two parts. There's the main part, and then there's a harmony part. Now there's another part in the verse. One of the guitars plays just a double stop or a unison bend, I think it is, from an A to the G. So that's the 5th fret of the B string to the 7th fret of the G, and you bend that 7th fret up, down 2 frets. So it's like, I think that's the very end measure of a verse. Before it goes into the chorus. Now for the solo, I said in the intro, I don't normally do a lot of solos because I'm not gifted enough to replicate a lot of lead guitar parts, but this one I thought was reasonably easier. I think it sounds like it's reasonably easy, so what I'll do here in the video, I will put in my interpretation of the solo. So my interpretation of the solo, the first note I hear is this 19th fret of the top E string being bent up. Now as I said, there's not a whole lot of gain on this and a whole lot of sustain, so it's quite tricky keeping this going, but you bend that up like that with a bit of vibrato. Now the next thing I hear, it sounds like a rake almost on the, so it'll be the 17th, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 of the top E and the B string. But when you come across there, so it's 17, 17, as soon as you hit that, pull that off to the 15th of the B. It does take a bit of time getting used to that. And when you hit 15, you're bending that up with vibrato as well. It's tricky as well because the way I'm playing this, again, I'm not sure if this is how it's played, I'm catching that with like my index finger, my first finger. Please do focus. It's quite tricky to catch that and then do the vibrato. These are the notes. And then you hear that trailing off. Now the next part, again, it almost sounded to me like it was harmonics, but I couldn't quite figure out where the harmonics would be. But I think you're doing a rake across the top 3 strings on the 17th fret again. And then we're bending up. This will be the 16th. I get confused when I go above 12. The 16th fret of the B string, and we're kind of going like this. Now, the way I played it in my cover, and I don't think this is what's on the original studio recording, because it sounds to me like the other guitars are doing the double stop we did earlier in the verse. The way I did it in my cover, and I think sounds okay. We finish it with just an octave version of those unison bends. So I'll play that whole thing slowly now. There is not a lot of sustain on this, again like the original recording, so please bear with me as I go through this. So here's how I play it slowly. And that is how I would play the solo.